Making peace with yourself and also with others. Yesterday there was something in the air. I don't know if you felt it, but definitely when I wrote the piece I wrote for social media, and then I looked at some things that other people had put up and had conversations with other people throughout the day. And not only that, just in checking in with clients, I found that there was some sort of common theme going on. And I think that's often the case. I think that some of you will be aware that there is something in the air, in the collective consciousness, and you just sort of pick it up, and it will seem coincidental, and you'll notice that others are saying the same kind of thing on the same day. Yesterday was one of those days, so I'd like to talk about that, and I'd like to just lead in by describing a little bit about what it is I do with people and why it can be so different from person to person, and even in my videos. I think that as I would describe it, I have been a sort of bridge for people, or am a sort of bridge. And so what I try and do is meet people exactly where they are. And from that perspective, we go forward. And if there's something that they feel is holding them back, then we look at that and try and understand why that might be. So this is why sometimes you'll find me talking about things like how to become more confident, or how to let go of guilt or blame or things like that, how to move past fear. And then today, something quite different, something a little bit, more expansive, let's say. So this is why there's such a range of subjects that I cover, or different ways of approaching things. How to make peace with yourself. What was in the air yesterday that I was picking up was just the sense, I'll give it to you in an analogy, as I often do. You know how I love to tell a story, so it's really simple. We come into this world, and let's look at the analogy of a home, if you will. Not the body as home, but the home that is your eternal self. And we come into the world, we come into the womb, and it goes forward from there, and we're acquiring experiences, sensations along the way, and they're helping to form the thoughts that come, that give us an idea of who we think we are. But imagine that you are this home, this eternal self. And then what we do is we spend sometimes lifetimes, sometimes this whole lifetime, sometimes years. It's very, very individual, but we spend potentially a lot of time seeking home in experience. So we're seeking a feeling of acceptance. We're seeking that expansive, loving, eternal self. And we seek it in relationships with others. We seek it in self-help. We seek it in other people to fulfill our lack or sense of lack. We seek it through every experience that we have, and we run from it equally. We run from it and we try and improve on it, mold it, shape it, criticize it, judge it, accept the judgment of others and the limitations of others. We read books about it. We attend courses, and on and on and on and on it goes. And so, but that home is already you. And I think the process of becoming what we already are, or unbecoming what we're not, it's a lot like I've described it as, we get so tired of the seeking. We get so tired of the constantly looking for some external source of this thing that we already are. And we also get very, very frustrated and dismayed, disenchanted with the process of avoiding that which we have told ourselves that we are, which we of course are not. And so eventually, kind of like the wearing down of a stone, I suppose, we come to the point where we're at last ready to say, okay, I let go, I surrender to nobody but yourself, your eternal self. And then there is the potential, for sure, in that moment, especially if we're not attaching to, as I said, anything external, anything that we are striving for, or anything that we are moving against and avoiding. There is the potential then for us to just wipe the fog from the screen of our eyes, our inner eye, and to see something. And that knowing is transformative, and it's what so many people who have gone on journeys within themselves have come to. And through that knowing, there is even a deeper knowing still. And so there is a peace from this, because you see, in fact, that every experience in your life is just a reflection of what you're holding. And so you come to understand this great dance that you've been doing. And I mean, for me personally, one of the things that I've been thinking about recently, and kind of funny to me really when I see it, is that every single man I've had any kind of significant relationship with, whether it be an employer or somebody that I was in an intimate relationship with or a good friend, but the closest people to me that have been male have all been basically one man, it feels like. Different variations, different nuances, but the same individual. And of course, there's a whole story around that, and I'm happy to say that as I unbecome, I guess, that this gets a lot clearer. And not only that, the connection is defined by acceptance and desire for, not desire, it's the wrong word. I guess just holding within my heart, within our heart, the best for another human being. It sounds like the simplest words, but apparently something to actually really embody that place without need. So yesterday, that was very much, as I said, in the air, and I wanted to share it with you, this unbecoming and this home that we already are, that finally we open our eyes and we see, it's been there all along. And this is what I'm talking about when I say you are the one that you are seeking. And so if you're really interested in peace, not in peace that looks like avoidance of something, not peace that looks like, oh, if I can do this, be this, then I will be at peace, but just to be able to be at peace with whatever is, then this is something that I can offer to you, not as something to do, but maybe what it does is it creates a little space. And I'd like to share with you some names of people whose writings at different points I've read a quote or a little bit more of some of their writing, and it's certainly uplifted. It's just expanded. It's just created that same space that I was talking about. So those would be, okay, who do I want to start with? It's funny how the names just immediately go flying out of my head. Jiddu Krishnamurti would be one of them. Rumi, Jalaluddin Rumi, the mystic poet, I think my favorite, and I'm sure some of you know that because I often quote Rumi. Muji, Osho, Robert Adams. There's many, even currently there's many. Adyashanti, who am I thinking of? A Canadian, John MacDonald. I didn't mean to sound so surprised when I said a Canadian, but because I'm Canadian, I guess there's some kind of surprise to meet a fellow Canadian. But yes, there's many, many, many who've expanded my own, no, not even expanded, just given me some space and given me the ability to, in that moment, see something. So these are names that you might find helpful. By all means, do contact me if you'd like to have a chat, if you have ideas for things you'd like to see in videos, and of course, if you want to arrange a session, you can certainly do so, and I'd love to speak to you. The sessions are many, many things, but I think the two words that people most commonly describe are deep, transformational, and informal. That's certainly my style. I hope you have an excellent week.